Hi, I'm Cody with Wall Street Breakdown. It's Friday, September 22nd, 2017, and it's not pitch black out yet, but it's Friday night, so I can only imagine you're probably going to be up until that thing starts coming back up. Anyways, have a safe night. If you haven't already, go ahead and click the subscribe button below, click yourself the notification bell, leave a comment about this video or some of our other videos, and feel free to leave a thumbs up at the end of this video. Click some other links down there as well. Feel free to just go down, just click all the hyperlinks. That's always fun. Let's take a look at what happened in the market today. The Dow down a little bit, just a little bit. Finished the day at 22,349, down 9.64. It wasn't drastic, but it was still a drop off going into the weekend. After 9 straight days of being up, we've got a bit of a plateau on our hands. Some wonky things have happened in the last couple of days. We're going to get to that and actually some of the big gainers today, but it was about time. I mean, 9 straight days of all-time highs. You had to assume that this was going to happen. I was saying yesterday that I wasn't entirely sure how this day was going to play out this Friday after what happened on Thursday, where everything seemed to finally put a bit of correction back in the market, and the market has a tendency to do that. That's just the way things work. We got that down here in one of the big gainers today, and we're going to get to that. The S&P was up today, 25.02, up 1.62. It was nominal, but the S&P still up again, doing a good job of just gaining ground constantly. Like, I mean, the United States economy, these companies that make up the Dow Jones Industrial 30, the S&P 500, they've been gaining all the time. This little bit down 964 is really a small drop in the bucket for how well these two indexes have been performing for an extended period of time now. Let's take a look at what some of the big gainers here were in the S&P 500. Carmacks up 7.8%. Carmacks, they had earnings this morning. It's getting to be earnings season, so you better get ready because these videos are going to start coming hot and heavy. But Carmacks announced earnings this morning. Carmacks does a lot of like retail sales of used cars. They do wholesale sales. They do a lot of stuff at auction and stuff. They do financing and stuff as well. So $74.19 is the share price at Carmacks. Their EPS was 98 cents a share. That beat the street by 3 cents. And their revenues were $4.39 billion. That beat the street like 140, I believe it was, 140 billion. I'm almost positive on that. And that's up 9.8% year over year. So doing really good in comparison even to last year. And it's some of the underlying numbers inside this earnings call that I think really stand out. It's that the gross profit per vehicle sold is up plus 9.2%. And the unit sales, just entire unit sales across the board through all the Carmacks departments, up 11.9%. So with an economy doing really well, and to be honest with you, a lot of even smaller passenger cars not making the sales that they probably could be making because people have the money to buy big SUVs and big trucks, and they are. Carmacks still in the used department, wholesale auction, they're doing really, really well. This is a decent earnings call as we start to really get into the meat and potatoes of earnings season coming up. Carmacks had a really good earnings call here Friday morning, and they got it right in the marketplace, up 7.8% on the day. L Brands up 7.5% on the day. That's the home to Victoria's Secret. And again, I've said that type of retail I'm into. I think it's a little more intimate. It's good for people to be able to go into the store and really try something on. L Brands closed the day 39.65. That's really at the bottom of their 52-week high, even though they were up 7.5%. I mean, they're really still just treading water at the bottom there. And their price to earnings is only about, like trailing price to earnings, only 10.82. So that's a pretty low price to earnings, even in the retail market space. There was no news. This was just one of those stories. Apparently, they needed to get up. Somebody needed to get up in retail. You know, we've been having it week over week here where every day somebody in retail's reaching some heights, not new heights, because these guys are way down, bottom of the 52-week trading. But yeah, their retail seems to be getting a bounce, and retail on this end with L Brands seem to got a bounce. So Equifax up 6.9%. Is there any reason for that other than it's probably been way oversold now at this point? Like, I know 143 million people's identity breached. It took a long time to actually come out that happened. Some executives sold some stuff they weren't supposed to, or allegedly sold some stuff they weren't supposed to, some shares right after the breach was discovered internally before it was ever made known to anybody else. But Equifax had taken a drubbing. I mean, they're definitely not going out of business, even though they're probably going to have to do some serious restructuring over there. They were up 6.9% today going into the weekend. That was definitely the big thing that I was saying, where some things just don't make a lot of sense. Like, you look at it, and if you take the news into context, you go like, how could a company like that have a gain like that in one day? But if you've been in Equifax, you've been going down for a while with it. So this is only just kind of bumping you back up a nominal amount. But to be honest with you, I mean, if you're trading intraday on that stuff, to predict that is, you're going to need a crystal ball. I don't have a crystal ball here. I don't think they make those in Canada. I think you have to get that somewhere else. DaVita down 6.2%. Now, DaVita, they're in the process of having they do a lot of stuff with people doing kidney dialysis. So there's a lot of they have a whole department that just exclusively, they do healthcare, but they're most healthcare. So they manage a lot of physicians in a bunch of states and stuff. But the big healthcare individual thing DaVita does is dialysis, like not just the equipment, but setting people up, going to clinics, doing the dialysis. DaVita 57.49 was the close today. There's a big story. So we're going to get into this in another video as the story kind of plays out. But they've got a private charity, nonprofit fund that they've kind of been working with that seems like there's some favor towards. Some things are not right with this American Kidney Fund and DaVita. And the Southern Investigative Reporting Foundation has been looking into this for a while. And today they came out and said that there's something not here. And DaVita's not willing to give up the information to say what their relationship directly is with this American Kidney Fund. But apparently there's quite a bit of not people being on the up and up as far as how their business is being run. And when you're publicly traded, you get scolded in the public eye to the tune of 6.2% today. And however this unfolds over the weekend, it could be a real smashing, who knows. But DaVita really should get a little more transparent. And if people need to know what's going on and why you're doing this, and it's a really large market share of their dialysis that goes through this American Kidney Fund. So I think that's the real thing. It's not just a couple percent over here, but I think that it was like 45 or 50% of their entire business goes through there. And apparently there's just a lot of mismanagement going on. So I'm sure we'll be hearing more from investigators soon. DaVita probably not having a solid weekend, even though I hope you're having a solid weekend. AbbVie and Bristol Myers. We got a bit of a team up in the pharmaceutical industry, it seems like. AbbVie and Bristol Myers are going to put their drugs together. They're going to do a phase 1B clinical trial of ABBV-399 and Opdivo. So the ABBV-399 is AbbVie drug, and Opdivo obviously is a Bristol Myers drug that we've heard a lot about here in the news recently. And they're trying to treat advanced c-Met overexpressing non-small cell lung cancer. Try saying that 5 times, or try having that disease. You're really going to want these clinical trials to work. So this is only going to be available for anybody who failed one previous attempt at chemotherapy. So AbbVie's doing the actual study. They're doing the groundwork, but Bristol Myers is going to be providing the product, the Opdivo, and we've seen Opdivo in a lot of different drugs recently. It's really, there's a couple different places where it's being combined with other stuff, and they're trying to find a lot. So, I mean, this could turn into something. AbbVie and Bristol Myers working together is definitely two big heavyweights in the pharmaceutical industry. And I would imagine if you're dealing with any type of advanced c-Met overexpressing non-small cell lung cancer, it's, we want this to work. But more so than we want the money to be made, we want this to work. Sprint plus T-Mobile. What does that mean? Do you think Sprint and T-Mobile maybe got together? And that's the news. That's the news. Reuters reports that it's getting hot and heavy. Ooh. Sprint and T-Mobile, they might be doing a little merging, a little bit of that. That's going to put the telecom world in the United States on its ear, no question about it. SoftBank actually owns 40 to 50% of the Sprint company, and Deutsche Telekom will hold a majority stake because of the amount that they own in T-Mobile. So this isn't just Sprint and T-Mobile. There's a lot of other companies involved in this, but you could only imagine that if this gets if this gets greenlit, and we've got more stuff coming up here about AT&T and stuff, so the telecom industry in the United States making big news today. This Sprint T-Mobile deal could be huge, but I don't know if the marketplace would allow it, the consolidation of this much more power, but I guess they would use the idea that, hey, if they do let AT&T and Time Warner go together, why wouldn't you let us go together, right? So, I mean, you're going to be using an example of a company that's trying to do it right now, because you're going to probably be trying to do it 6 months from now. The iPhone was released today, the iPhone 8. Tim Cook said everything was going excellent. He was quite impressed with the way the watch was selling. He said the little watch LTE issue is a small update problem. It's not a hardware problem. They're just going to do a little update, and that LTE problem with the watch not getting the wireless signal properly is going to be fixed, no problem. He said while the iPhones are selling really well, the watch is totally sold out. iPhones are selling well, but the iPhones, they said they have quite a bit of iPhones in stock. They were well stocked, ready for this, and I'm sure they're going to say that because there's nothing but rumors that they are understocked. So they're probably going to say the right word. So I would imagine it's either that they were understocked and it's not selling, or that they were that it's not as much there as you'd like to think. Just all the demand is already probably gone in those 3 days for the people that are really rushing the door for it. But that's for us to find out as the dominoes continue to fall, as the iPhone 8X hasn't even been released yet. Zuckerberg, he's going to be selling quite a bit of his Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, the owner, the CEO, the man over at Facebook. I'm sure you use Facebook. I catalog my entire life on Facebook. I don't even live a real life. I'm just a series of pictures and quotes. Thanks, Mark Zuckerberg. You've made me immortal. I appreciate that. Facebook, they're going to be selling, well, Zuckerberg specifically is going to be selling 75 million Facebook shares worth about 12.8, I think they said. I think it's 12.8. 12.8 billion over the next 18 months. Now, it could be as small as about 35 million shares, but the top end, he said, was 75 million, and he wants to reinvest the money he gets in his philanthropic endeavors, i.e., I want to buy a new yacht, but tell you I don't. Hey, this guy made a lot of money. He's made a business that's really successful, that a lot of people have done really well with, owning it, working for it, just utilizing Facebook in general. How much do you get from Facebook on a day-to-day basis? Or if not you specifically, somebody you know. Mark Zuckerberg deserves to have some of this money in his pocket. You don't need to hold on to every share of Facebook. I'm sure he's held on to more than enough shares of it. So Mark Zuckerberg is going to go out and sell a little bit of Facebook shares and bring in a little bit of that do-re-mi. Can't blame him for that. AT&T and Time Warner, they're down there working on the Brazilian regulators, and they are making no amendments to their plans. That's for sure. They're telling Brazilian regulators to figure it out, basically. They said they're going to do no asset sales. They're making no concession. They said, hey, Brazil, Colombia and Ecuador gave approval, blanket approval. We didn't have to do anything. I know Brazil's worried. AT&T and Time Warner say what they're going to do is they might change a little bit of their business models to better suit the marketplace, but they are not planning on getting rid of actual assets. Brazil's going to either have to reject the plan, or Brazil's going to have to just get with the plan. I'm sure AT&T and Time Warner, with the money they got, they're putting on the old strong press, and we'll see how it plays out, but I can only imagine that probably before Christmas we're going to find out that this is actually going to be done. Transocean is laying to rest some of the big rigs. $1.4 billion in impairment charges in Q3 is what we're going to see to retire 6 rigs that have been previously cold stacked. So these rigs, I mean, it's time to go. Some of them are going to be sold. Some of them are going to be recycled. But you can imagine for what the amount, the $1.4 billion that Transocean assumes they're going to have to take an impairment charge in Q3. It's a big hit, but it's one of those things you have to do. You're just sitting on this stuff. It's not doing anything anymore. It doesn't work for you, for what you're trying to do. Transocean, it's a part of playing ball. L'Oreal and Nestea. Now these are Nestle. I must have iced tea on the mind. It's Friday. Maybe I'm a Long Island iced tea in here already. L'Oreal and Nestle, that's a little better. L'Oreal and Nestle are talking about a little merger of their own. But, see, Lillian Bettencourt, she passed away. But the problem with Bettencourt passing away is that No position increases for 6 months after her death are allowed between either of these companies. They're not allowed to do. And the Betancourts own 33%, L'Oreal and Nestle owns 23%. It's a big confusing conglomeration of things. And basically what it's going to get down to is at the end of this 6-month period after Lillian Betancourt's passing, when they're allowed to actually start to make some changes in the business, I think we're probably going to see them all get hitched up, and it's going to go one way probably or the other in a dominant fashion. We're going to see one person in control of L'Oreal and Nestle, not Nestea, which is delicious. The rig count came in from Baker Hughes, and it's the last bit of news. As we can see, it's gotten quite dark. The rig count was down again. 935, down from 936 last week. Third straight decline. I think it's the fifth straight decline for oil rig counts. I mean, all the hurricanes and stuff, there was a lot of stuff that got shut down. I can only imagine things are going to be picking back up shortly. But as of right now, a lot of stuff was impacted. I think a lot of us seen that coming. The Dow was down, nominal. S&P up, nominal. TSX down. No real news out of Canada. 15,454 down 0.69. I mean, there was no news. The Evolve is starting a Bitcoin ETF. This is really what happened today. It wasn't a whole lot. The big news of the day is definitely Carmacks having a heck of an earnings call this morning. Sprint and T-Mobile are probably going to be getting together. I don't think there's much question about that. Zuckerberg selling some shares in Facebook. AT&T and Time Warner saying Brazil, you're going to have to like it or lump it. That's about all. I'm Cody from Wall Street Breakdown. It's Friday. You have yourself a good weekend. Click the subscribe button. We'll be back on Monday. Please. Any investing, talk to a licensed professional financial advisor first. Do your due diligence, risk tolerance. Make sure it allocates the proper portfolio that you're trying to build. Have a safe weekend. Drive safe. All that good stuff.